I'm a Brit who's living in Finland, and this is a warning to foreigners who are considering visiting the UK. This message being recorded in August 2024. Now, what I'm advising here is that foreigners should think twice before they come visit Britain. And there's two reasons for that. The first one is that it's actually unsafe to visit large parts of the UK. And then secondly, just for moral or ethical reasons, it's also immoral to visit a country that has become a de facto police state where the government are not respecting human rights. The other point to mention too is that certainly the Finnish mainstream media are not reporting what the UK government has been doing to its own people. Now, all of this will seem far-fetched. So what I'm going to do now is show you video clips of police officers and UK politicians saying things that are quite outrageous, the sort of things that you might have previously associated with a dictator in a banana republic, or historically, something that Hitler or Stalin might have come out with. I'll also show screenshots of tweets that have been produced by the UK police, various police forces around Britain. And I'm doing this again because it needs to be documented. What's happening in Britain needs to be documented so it's never forgotten. So the first clip that I'm going to show you is what can only be described as gangs of militia. In this case, they're all dressed in black. And I would say to you, be very, very careful about visiting the UK because, if you're the wrong ethnicity, you could easily get caught up in something that you would rather not be caught up in. And I'll show you a video clip now. Those guys don't look too friendly. That would be that could easily boil over into something quite nasty. So you don't want to be, it's just not worth the risk really coming to Britain at the moment. Meanwhile in Britain, law and order is completely broken down, especially among some communities, because the police just won't, there is what's called two-tier policing in Britain. So in some communities, people can just do whatever they like and the police will not intervene. So again, would you want to go and visit a country, hire a car and just end up accidentally getting involved in this sort of stuff? On the other hand, the British police are very heavy-handed against people who are peacefully protesting, but they're of the wrong ethnicity. Another thing that you may not be aware of is that the UK has so-called hate speech laws. Now, if you look at the dictionary definition of hate, so Merriam-Webster says hate is intense hostility and aversion, usually deriving from fear, anger, or sense of injury. So hate is subjective. It's a matter of opinion. What you might hate might be completely different from what I might hate. So the problem is that in a police state, the politicians they can cite hate speech for anything that they dislike, that they want to shut down, including quite legitimate debate about their policies and the way that they're running the country. So this is even extended to Elon Musk, who's criticised the UK government for adopting racial discrimination with regard to policing. So I'll show you a clip now of a UK police officer basically threatening people, even people living abroad, with so-called hate speech laws.
Whether you're in this country committing crimes on the street, we will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile figures whipping up the hatred. You talked about it in there with the officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law.
So you might ask yourself, what sort of outrageous things has Elon Musk been saying about the UK government? You can read it for yourself. Here's another example of a tweet that the British government says is hate speech. So Elon Musk is basically been some gang violence of people of a particular ethnicity. And Elon Musk is asking about the two-tier policing. Why aren't all communities protected in Britain? And I think he's got a point. So in the UK in 2024, holding opinions that the government doesn't like can make you a criminal. And they're also, as you can hear here, straight from the horse's mouth here, is that they're even threatening the ability of foreign nationals to express their opinions about the UK and what's going on in Britain. So my advice to foreigners would be, please do not travel to the UK. It's not safe to be there. The UK government under the Starmer regime is also trying to adopt Chinese Communist Party style state regulation over what people can and can't say on the internet.
1440, I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network. I'm just
What?
127 Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that it may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being arrested?
You're going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
Take you up to the police station.
Right.
Okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Meanwhile, some people are dealt with extremely harshly by the police. So the way that you're treated by the British police, it tends to depend quite a lot on your ethnicity. So there's a word for that. I suppose you could call it racist policing. So I'll just play you this.
I was taken to a police cell, and as you can see, I'm a very chatty, very boisterous, vivacious person. And I think I was probably in shock because I didn't speak for 13 hours. I just nodded because I've never been in a police station in my life.
So this lady, basically, her crime was that she offered the police tea and ice lollies, like an ice cream. And she was arrested for expressing the view that 16 years of immigration in Britain had ruined her part of Britain. And that was deemed to be hate speech. And she was locked up for that.
And just went in. They said, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" Didn't speak for 13 hours. I think I was in shock. And the next day, they said they'd phone my daughter. "We've been trying to get through to your daughter. There was one missed call at 1 o'clock in the morning. They didn't try. They took my trousers off me because they had a drawstring. Anyway, so they gave me like sort of prison issue trousers, if you like. I was given a blanket, and I spent the whole night in a cell. They'd come in every so often. Do you want anything? Do you want some water, tea, coffee? It's like, no, just couldn't speak. I couldn't speak. I've only ever seen a police station on television. I've never been in a police station before. And it was the most hideous.
The other thing that I can confirm about Britain is that if you are mugged or a victim of maybe your house gets burgled or your car gets broken into, the British police are useless, absolutely useless. They're not interested in trying to find who did it at all. On the other hand, there's record numbers of police being employed. And what these police officers are actually now doing is scouring the internet for so-called hate speech. So I'll just show you an example of a police officer confessing this.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive.
What amounts to insulting or abusive? It's subjective.
Racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do.
So if you retweet something and somebody finds it offensive, that's a subjective matter of opinion, that's a criminal offence in the UK. I'll just pull that back again a little bit and you can you hear it again.
Or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially.
So that could easily be views, maybe expressing legitimate views that question immigration. Somebody could easily say that they are offended by that, and that makes you a criminal in Britain.
You're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything.
So in Britain, real crimes like murder, assault, robbery, etc., they play second fiddle to these hate speech type crimes. And the police spend most of their time trawling around on social media, acting like the Chinese Communist Party, arresting people for wrongthink. What's also quite interesting is that the British government is desperately trying to cover up what it's doing so that people outside Britain don't know about it. Because obviously, you know, if the antics of the British government and the British police force become known outside of Britain, it will have economic consequences for the country. For example, freedom-loving people who are living in Hong Kong, traditionally they would send their kids to British boarding schools or to British universities, and the UK makes a lot of money from that. Obviously, you know, there's still tourism. Here in Finland, you often get a lot of Finns who go over and watch Premier League football in Britain, spend a lot of money. I'm urging these people, do not come to Britain. It's a totalitarian, authoritarian country that's completely out of control. And as I say, the British government is desperately trying to cover up what it's doing. So all of these authoritarian kind of announcements, foreigners living abroad won't find out about them because the UK police website is blocked for people who are living abroad. So you can't actually see all these police state announcements and threats that they've been making. So that's quite interesting. Here's another one, you know, from the UK government. Think before you post, which is kind of positively Orwellian. What they're trying to do here is silence any potential criticism of the way that the regime is running the country in Britain. So again, this is an example of just general lawlessness, and Britain's become a very, very ugly place because the rule of law isn't being applied equally to all. Do you want to, you know, this is in Croydon in South London. It'd be very easy for some of you to visit the UK and accidentally end up in a situation like this. You know, like you just come out of the wrong pub at the wrong time. And some of the things that people are being arrested for are just ridiculous, just straight up authoritarianism.
We have some breaking news now, and a woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to an inaccurate information on social media.
So somebody's been imprisoned because of information in a tweet that the BBC, or sorry, the police have said is inaccurate. So I don't know if those of you remember, but the British government was responsible for killing 1.5 million Iraqis on the basis of what was misinformation. They said that Saddam Hussein had got weapons of mass destruction when he hadn't, and they used that lie, that misinformation, as an excuse to bomb and kill 1.5 million Iraqis. So my question really to Finns, say, I'm living in Finland, so it's to Finns, is would you have gone and visited Germany in 1936? Because there is an equivalence to what's going on in Britain in 2024. Britain is becoming, or has become, a police state. So here's confirmation of that the Cheshire Police arrested somebody for the crime of an inaccurate social media post. Here's another one. So this guy, he was put in prison because his crime was he was gesticulating, which is basically making hand gestures and shouting at the police. So this is, again, the type of behaviour that you would have seen in Nazi Germany, Stalinist Russia, or in modern day China, under the communist regime there. In China and other authoritarian countries, social media is being banned, or has been banned rather. In Britain, what's happening at the moment is that there's calls for banning certain social media platforms in the UK. So in no sense can the UK be considered a country that embraces free speech. So this clip comes from an ITV breakfast programme. ITV is one of the, apart from the BBC, it's the second most important TV channel in the UK. It's probably equivalent to MTV in Finland. So this is what they've been saying.
It's only a temporary measure in order to limit the spread of inflammatory information, misinformation as well, across the United Kingdom at this point. And I think we should focus on keeping people safe and communities safe as well. So
that's what the Nazis said.
I think so. I think we should stop it. It's only a temporary measure in order to limit.
So here's another example of two-tier policing, and then also Sky News basically trying to cover up evidence of two-tier policing by deleting this clip that appeared on Sky News showing evidence of two-tier policing.
Police in that McDonald's car park just behind us. There are other police cars that we've seen circling the area, so I think they are ready to move in, should they be. We know that Muslim community leaders have been speaking to the police as well, because...
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
But I think, apologies for the language you're hearing, but...
It's like out of control, basically.
No.
And then later on, they slashed the tyres of the Sky TV van. So in conclusion, what I would say is, as a foreign tourist, please do not come to the UK. It's a dangerous place. You can't be guaranteed to have a safe visit. Then the second thing as well is that just from a moral basis, you shouldn't be visiting countries that are run by authoritarian regimes. And the UK most definitely is a two-tier police state.